Well, I guess we had to get here some point. But boys, I am prepared. I'm ready for all of your bad takes and hurtful comments as Arsenal's title challenge is officially over. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that's Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below, that's Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Boys, how are you guys?
Fine.
Did you celebrate St. Totteringham's Day this year?
I haven't. I haven't yet.
Because we haven't, unless it happened to be the week that I didn't have internet, which I don't know mathematically. I need to go back. It's done now. There's no statistical way we can come back.
No, yeah. So we didn't talk about it at the time, mostly because I was uninterested in St. Totteringham's Day at that moment. I was more interested in winning the title, and so St. Totteringham's Day seemed to be insignificant to me at the time. But I might just need to celebrate it now. that might be next on the agenda. Make myself feel better.
That's good. That we can have a three-way party here. We can have, because me and Brad are going to be celebrating St. Arsenalham's Day from the city perspective.
Yes.
It's
a three-way party.
These last 2 weeks have been amazing to me, and as Arsenal's title challenge has fallen apart, and the amount of twerking that people have been doing for a Manchester City team that will have won 5 of the last 6 Premier League titles, or maybe it's 6 out of the last 7, and 3 in a row, and like everybody around English football who isn't an Arsenal fan is twerking for City. We're super excited about the fact that Arsenal bottled.
You forgot the fact that will have only led the league for like a month.
Yeah. Well, like in terms of raw days.
That all stems.
Yeah.
I think that stems from like one singular fact that like all fan bases find City repulsive in the way they spend and the way that it's blatantly FFP. That everyone just finds it repulsive and writes off their titles anyway. It's just oil money. Nobody cares. Like, you didn't actually do anything. City fans should just go crawl in a hole. Like, there's no point. Like, all other fans are just like, ugh. But anyways, who finished second? That's who really won the league.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand the like, City are a plastic club. City have only existed since 2008. Like, I get that aspect.
Yeah, the plastic clubs in here. You know what I'm saying.
Okay. Isn't that what I think Jude Bellingham's dad came out and was like, my son will not go to a plastic club like Man City.
I mean, that's what he said. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
Who?
So let's go to Real Madrid, who spend $200 million every summer.
I mean, to be fair, Real Madrid are a legitimate football institution. They're arguably arguably the biggest football institution in the world. So. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of just like everybody is just disgusted with City. A little tired of it, but you can recognize greatness on the field. Like, I can look at the field on it. It's not the players' fault that they are excellent and they were recognized and bought for obscene amounts of money. And now they're put on a field and now they just outperform everybody because they're 1 through 22 are better than everybody. That's not their fault. So I'm not going to hate on the players. Hey, we legitimately hate Arsenal. That's why it's you this year. So, like, I don't have any beef with them because they're fake. It's a fake team over there. I got a real team right with me in North London that I can hate on. That's real.
All right. Well,
yeah,
that's fair.
And just like I can't remember the collapse of Arsenal. Like, 8 points with 10 games left should be about like even. Like, you should, like, I don't think you're dropping 8 points in those 10 games, right? Like, I don't think any of us expected that.
It was a fake 8 points. City had 2 games in hand,
or at
least a game in hand.
No, when they were even.
There was a point where Arsenal had a game in hand and an 8-point lead over City.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously this is a disappointment
Hey,
in like monumental proportions, but
overall, I think you're still taking this season over any of your previous seasons in the past few years.
well, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about that. Yeah,
European
without
football,
debate.
second place to one of the greatest teams ever combined, like in terms of dominance
Yeah.
in like the most expensive league. So it's not just like Bayern in Germany or Juventus in Italy. Like to do it in England is impressive.
Yeah,
That City has done it.
and they just have infinite money and they cook the books.
Are we looking at this table?
Yes, yeah. We don't want to get on a 12-minute tangent like we did last week before we even look at the table. But so without further ado, let's do that now. So as you guys can see, if you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the podcast sites and you can't see it, you can pause and go pull up the Premier League table. But I'll explain it to you. But before we look at the Premier League table, if you could hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, ring the sub notification bell, drop a comment down below about this video. On one of the podcast sites, follow 5-star if your platform so allows. Brad's quickly scrambling to Apple Podcasts to see if we got any 5-star reviews that he can read off. But if you could do all those things, we would greatly appreciate it. We are still firmly in Operation Trick Google, so help us in this endeavor. So as we
turn, real quick for the table, want to give a shout out to Keith, our latest subscriber.
What's up, Keith?
On YouTube, Keith? Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Keith. Drop a comment and let us know
where you're listening from.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know something about.
Yeah.
Join the Discord. It's in the description below of this video. So let's turn our attention to this Premier League table. So as you guys can see, first position is Manchester City. They currently hold a 4-point lead over Arsenal with a game in hand. City can win the league this weekend with a victory against Chelsea from the Etihad. I believe it's at the Etihad, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just quickly, yes. So City could win the league this weekend. Arsenal are second. Newcastle are third. Manchester United are fourth. Neither one of those teams can catch Arsenal. Arsenal will finish second. Liverpool sneaking and creeping. They are in fifth, currently sit 1 point behind both of the Uniteds, though they have played one extra game. Brighton and Hove Albion are in sixth with 2 games in hand on Liverpool. They could not quite catch Liverpool. Tottenham are in seventh. Villa are equal on points with Tottenham in eighth, though they have a worse goal difference by 2 goals. So that seventh position is definitely up in the air. Brentford are ninth. Rounding out the top 10 is Fulham. In 11th is Chelsea. They have no hope. Well, no, they could catch. I guess they could catch Fulham. Crystal Palace are in 12th. Wolves are in 13th. Bournemouth 14th. West Ham are in 15th. They have 37 points. 16th is Nottingham Forest. They have 34 points. Everton claw their way out of relegation zone. They are on 32 points, though they did so with a loss at the weekend, but they had a midweek victory, so that was helpful. Leeds are in 18th. Leicester are languishing in 19th, and officially the first team that will be relegated from the Premier League from the 2022-2023 season is Southampton Football Club. The Saints will return to the championship next year after their loss this weekend against Fulham. They secured their relegation fate. So just if you're keeping tabs on the relegation battle, Leicester and Leeds, they currently sit 2 points and 1 point respectively behind Everton, and Nottingham Forest are 4 points ahead of Leicester and 3 points ahead of Forest. So things are not looking good for the Leicester Cities and the Leeds. Can we talk for just a brief moment about the fact that Leicester, not 6 years ago, were lifting the Premier League title, and now they're about to be relegated?
Yeah,
that is a spectacular fall from grace.
What did they even finish last year? 8th. They finished 8th last year.
Yeah, at least Everton have been flirting with relegation for 2 years now.
16th, yep.
Leeds barely survived last year, so
there would be documentaries written about this 7-year fall from grace.
Yeah. It's
So it is unheard of.
and with the way
It
that
probably isn't. There's probably been one, and I bet Joel would know.
Leeds United was what comes to mind in the early 2000s when they essentially just fell like a rock through the Premier League, through the footballing divisions, through the pyramid. They just collapsed. So that was obviously a more impressive fall from grace. But the thing that I would say about Leicester is like this club is averse to spending money. They are a net zero spend team. So like
they tried to be zero debt team.
Yeah, like so it's not
and then
it's not like they're just going to be able to spend their way out of this problem. Now, one thing that Leicester does have going for them, they have spectacular facilities.
They just upgraded all those facilities, and that's where all the money went to.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago, like their training facility apparently is one of the best in England. So that will help them in the championship of drawing the championship caliber players that will help them get promoted. And obviously, I think it would be an attractive destination for Premier League teams who have young players who want experience. So, academy guys who need experience. I think Leicester will be an attractive destination next year. If they go down. They go down.
The only club post World War II.
Okay. This is one of those statistics.
I put that clarification on it. The only one to do it relatively recent, and I am excluding the Danish Superliga. I am excluding Denmark from a big club in Europe. The only one to do it in Europe wasn't really their fault. It was Juventus.
Oh, it was their fault.
Well, yes. They did not play on the field their way to get relegated after winning the title in the previous year. They were relegated.
We should do a red card radio investigation into the Calciopoli scandal of 2006, because I think some of the information. It certainly doesn't exonerate Juventus, but it does cast aspersions against all of the Italian FIGC, like all Italian football in general, Inter as well.
I think we all know that's corrupt, though. I don't think there's any of us that don't realize that all of Italian football is corrupt.
I'm sure we could get Will on here, and he would have a dissertation as to why Juve should not be solely
punished.
I don't know, like held like in such a negative light because of Calciopoli, but
they are the only ones who were not in like the 30s to have won a title and then were the next year relegated. And there is a very big elephant.
Leicester wasn't relegated. It's been like 7 years.
Well, this is the only thing I could pull up because typing in has anybody won the title and been relegated in 7 years, that's not going to pull me anything good.
I think the Leeds United, they were in like a semifinal of the Champions League or a quarterfinal of the Champions League, and then were relegated the next season, and then they were relegated again, and then relegated again, and then relegated again, and then they just languished in like League Two or something like that for many years before they started making their way back up.
Wigan
won a FA Cup, not a title.
Yeah,
right, but they're as a Blackburn probably too, but that's older.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but they didn't get relegated for like 15 years. They didn't get relegated to the 2000s.
Were they an ever-present team in the 90s though? I'm not sure, and you're not sure either. We'd have to go.
I'm almost certain they didn't get relegated because they were in the Premier League in the 2000s.
Yes, I remember Blackburn in the Premier League. That's why I want to see him back. Okay, quickly, let me run down these results while we're doing some research. But Leeds at Newcastle, that game finished 2-2. Southampton, Fulham, what relegated Southampton? Fulham wins the game 2-0. Chelsea Forest ends 2-2. Aston Villa and Spurs. From Villa Park, Villa wins 2-1. United and Wolves, Manchester United gets the 2-0 victory. Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, Palace win 2-0. On Sunday, we had Everton hosting Manchester City. City wins 3-0. Brentford and West Ham ends 2-0 to Brentford. And then Arsenal, Brighton. Brighton get the 3-0 victory against Arsenal in North London. That's the second season in a row that Brighton has beaten Arsenal at home, and I think also the second season in a row that they've beaten Arsenal 3-0 at home. On Monday, We had Leicester City and Liverpool. Liverpool wins the game 3-0. What's up, Brad? What's that look for?
Leicester City just won the FA Cup too, so I think we can include Wigan in this conversation.
Oh, true.
Sorry, that
Did
just came out of
Did Leicester win it last year? Who's the current holder of the FA Cup?
2021.
Liverpool won last year. What am I talking about?
Yep, on
They beat Chelsea.
penalties.
They beat Chelsea.
Yep, on penalties.
Yeah. So I think we're going to start this conversation. We're going to kick it off with Southampton Fulham, because that is kind of the big relegation news. One of the big storylines. We've been keeping our eye on it. We've kind of been expecting it for some time, just because of the way that Southampton had been playing. When they sacked Hasenhüttl, what was that, like October? Something like that, maybe December. They sacked Hasenhüttl, and like it just seemed the guy that they brought in was constantly blaming the players, and they had no identity. And then it's just it's not been good for Southampton for some time now. And I think if we were to run the tape back from August, someone on Red Card Radio was brave enough to predict that Southampton would be relegated. You'll have to tune in early June when we look at the sheets of integrity and we
do our
recap and give points and things like that. But how do you guys? What's the takeaway for Southampton? Like, do you guys see Southampton being able to return quickly? Do you think they're going to languish for a while? Like, what do you guys think?
So I think it depends. I went looking through their roster on Transfer Market to see if there were players that like would be or could be poached. I think we all know Latvia is getting poached by one of the big 7 clubs, right? Like I think, he's on Chelsea's radar, he's on Arsenal's radar, he's on Tottenham's radar, right?
The thing about it is, I thought that my understanding was that Manchester City had a buyback clause that was active next summer. So like,
yes.
How does that work? Like if Southampton were to sell him before the buyback clause is active, does City have the right of first refusal? Do they get some sort of sell-on bonus? Like
it's probably.
I would imagine they have right of first refusal, but
possibly, yeah. I don't know. I forgot about City because he came from City.
I think that could be a big issue, like a big wrench in the plans for any of the teams that are talking about signing him.
There's one other player from City. Bazunu, the goalie for Southampton, he's a young kid. I think a year in the championship does him well if they can come up. So he probably doesn't leave. Kyle Walker-Peters, 26. A club probably picks him up to be a backup, right? Like I don't think he wants to go down to the championship.
I don't know, like mid-table Premier League team, whoever's coming up from when Luton Town comes up from the championship. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, I a lot of these players who have been like Southampton has been in the Premier League for years. So like these players have Premier League experience. A lot of them are really good players. Like the team just didn't have it clicking this year and things like there were other issues, of course. It's like I think a lot of their established players I think have futures at Premier League clubs.
Livramento, but he's been hurt this year, so like I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think he's gonna have too many takers. So maybe he stays in the championship, but depending on his like how he comes back from injury, that's a solid right back. And then the big one. Well, I'll do one more small one. Does Maitland-Niles stay with Southampton? Because I think you said his contract is up.
So he was on loan. He was on loan from Arsenal to Southampton, but his Arsenal contract expires in June. So he's leaving. It's kind of already been announced that he is leaving Arsenal.
Right.
So he'll be a free agent. He'll be able to go wherever he wants. I could see him at like a Crystal Palace.
Okay.
You know, Crystal Palace, maybe. Who else? I could see like a Brentford signing him, perhaps. Maybe Wolves. That kind of seems to me where he would end up.
Cool. And he has to be okay playing right back. All right, now the big one. Does James Ward-Prowse go to a different club? Does he want his
how old is James Ward-Prowse?
He's 28.
Yeah, he moves on. I think he moves on.
I don't know. He's a Southampton boy.
Yeah,
like,
but you
came through the academy, stayed when everybody else got sold.
Yeah. I see that, but at the same time, 28, like prime of your career, there's an Aston Villa out there for him. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
are mid-table Premier League clubs that could use a dead ball specialist that would pick him up.
Based on transfer market, his contract isn't up until 2026. I'm guessing there's some sort of buyout if you go down to the championship. I'm guessing that's in there.
You know, no, I know
but-
exactly. I know exactly where he lands.
Tottenham.
West Ham.
I
They're
could see-
losing
11
Declan.
years he's
That's
been
not
there.
that's not a that's not a like for like, but that's a midfield presence that with distribution, and does Declan take their free kicks too?
I don't believe so.
I don't know that off.
I
don't know
doubt
that
it.
off the top of my
I
head.
doubt it.
I did want to circle back real quick. We were both right and wrong about Blackburn. They were both relegated and good in the 2000s. They won the title in 94, 95. They were relegated in 99.
Okay.
They were back up briefly and then were battling for Europe in 2004.
And then went back down 2010.
Yeah, it's just like a kind of a
Oh.
crazy. So we were both right. We both remember things correctly.
Yeah.
In a weird way. So I don't know how that happened, but good for them. Good for Blackburn.
But yeah, so I mean, I think Ward-Prowse is the most interesting one. I think I agree with you in that Ward-Prowse would be most likely to leave. Like if I was gambling, I would bet Ward-Prowse is leaving. But like I would also put it like 60-40, 70-30.
I mean,
I don't think it's a certain.
The thing about Southampton is that Southampton traditionally have a really productive academy, as they've produced quite a few players. So I would just lean into that right now.
They bought all of City's academy.
Like if you're Southampton and you have players of you have assets of value, it seems a little strange referring to humans that way. But like you've got assets, they have value. Like why not sell them? Because they want to be playing in the Premier League. B, that's what they're going to be worth. So you might as well get money for them, and then just lean in more heavily to your academy and keep producing youngsters and have your youngsters bring you up. That's kind of how I would look at it. Now, I'm not. I don't watch any championship football, so I can't tell you definitively that Southampton have the academy to come back up, but. That would be my thought process, would be to lean into the academy again and sell your players who have value. And if people want to stay, if Ward-Prowse wants to stay, then let him stay. Like I wouldn't kick him out of the club, but at the same time, I would allow him to leave if he wanted to leave.
Yeah, they bought 4 people from City's academy. They brought in, I think I remember this. They brought in somebody from City to run their scouting team, and then he just brought 4 people from the academy, from City's academy, with him. But yeah, okay, cool. I think we've talked enough about Championship Club Southampton. Went a lot longer than we expected.
R.I.P. Southampton.
Rip. Sean, talk to me about Villa Spurs, sir. Want to hear some pain.
I don't know. What do you want me to say? Son missed about 4 sitters. Did you guys watch the game? I mean, it was rough.
No, that's why I'm asking about it.
It was about 3 or 4 goals that Son should have scored and chose to miss the goal entirely.
Do you like that's
just frustrating.
So that kind of it kind of speaks to Son's season a little bit, because he
sums up the season. Yeah,
right, because he started off the year very like he didn't he win the Golden Boot last year? He was joint winner of the Golden Boot last year, and this year it feels like he got off to a really slow start. There was the beginning, like people kept talking about if Conte should bench him, and then Conte put him on the bench, and he came off the bench and scored a hat trick or something like that, and like
he still ended the year with double-digit goals. So like all in all, if you look at it face value, not remembering what happened game to game, he had a decent season. Like you don't score 10 goals or more in the Premier League and then people just call that an awful season unless you're a really good goal scorer. That's the problem.
That's the problem, is that we expect more from Son.
So like face value, I don't think he had that bad of a year. The problem is we hold him to his own standard, and he would hold himself to that same standard. I'm sure if you asked him, he would say it's a bad season. But you're right. It was a great summary of his season, was watching him put one off the woodwork, completely missed the goal twice, and then the one he finally put past Emmy was offsides.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of Emmy, really quickly, there's rumors he's leaving Villa. There's two clubs that need goalies on this podcast, and I would 100% take Emmy in between the woodwork for Chelsea.
no, we're rumored to get Bazuna.
Well,
I heard Raya too. I heard Raya was the top of the list.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure Ray is at the top of a lot of teams' lists. He's a great goalkeeper and he's got great distribution.
Yeah, and he's told Brentford, "I'm leaving." Brentford put the price on him. Hey, Sean, I got a question for you.
This is another question, apparently.
I got another question for you. I'm sorry. I wanted to hear the pain first, but this is a pick one of these. You have two scenarios here, and I want you to pick one.
Finish 10th.
Harry Kane becomes the all-time goal scorer for the Premier League at Tottenham, or Tottenham wins a trophy and Kane gets the record elsewhere in the Premier League.
I'm only thinking about this because it's Harry Kane, but it's still the trophy.
I knew it would pause you and you would think so. But
it's only because it's Harry Kane.
But wait, because you said it would be the trophy.
Yeah.
Then why did we have that argument about Giroud and all of his trophies? If the trophy is what matters.
This is apples and oranges. We're not talking about the same thing.
Okay, sorry, I'm not sure. Vardy. Sorry, let me say Vardy, because
this doesn't compute as equal to me, because would I like to see a academy product who spent 10 years banging in 25 goals a season break the record in a Spurs shirt? Absolutely, I would like to see that. Yes, but I'm going to take the trophy though.
Okay, but is it close 50-50? Is it 60-40 trophy? Because you thought about this.
It's probably about 60-40. Yeah. I really would like to see him break the record in the Spurs shirt.
Well, let me
I've been on record on the podcast. I'm saying if he wants to go this year without Europe, and we don't look like we're heading in the right direction, if he does not want to stay, we should not try to convince him. We should find him a good landing spot, get him a trophy. If he wants to stay in the Premier League, put him on a good team. I'm full for that.
Let me add some nuance to this question, because I think asking a trophy is not nuanced enough. Would you trade a Carabao Cup for it?
No.
FA Cup.
That was your last trophy.
No.
FA Cup.
And that's the reason I wouldn't trade it, so I don't have to hear that shit no more. So from here up, the answer is yes.
Okay, that was my thought. I think a league
to save you some time.
Yeah, a league cup is not enough.
It would mean more to me to see him score it in a Spurs shirt than to see a Carabao Cup.
Brad, let me jump in here real quick, and I think the reason why you were saying it you were wondering why there was issue with the Giroud Vardy thing. The thing about Harry Kane breaking the individual goal scoring record, as a Tottenham fan, sure, you can kind of parasocially be excited for Harry Kane, but you're not a Harry Kane fan. Yes, you are a fan of Harry Kane, but you're a Tottenham fan. You're a Tottenham supporter, and your club winning something is more impactful than being able to say, well, I had the all-time leading goal scorer on my team, especially when your club professes to be one of the 6 biggest clubs in England, that they should be fighting for titles. These are all statements that your club has made recently. Your expectations are different. And yes, having the all-time leading goal scorer would be really cool. And Tottenham would still be able to claim that. Would still be able to claim that, yeah, Kane mostly did it in a Tottenham shirt. But the goal is a team sport. You want to see team victories. You want to see the club winning something. And while you can celebrate Kane getting that victory, I don't know, getting that recognition to a point. Yeah, getting that record, you can celebrate that to a point. You can't really celebrate it like you would celebrate like your team winning something, in my opinion.
What is the record? 240, something like that.
I don't know,
No,
something
Yeah,
like that.
I don't know off the top of my head. He has 210.
It's like
So
maybe 2 more years. I think if he
he's
stayed at Spurs, 2 more
probably
years.
he's probably two off.
260.
Ooh, 260 is like
Oh
3.5 years.
He's 50 goals
yeah,
away.
he's gonna have to produce for 3 more years
Because
because he's.
he's
I don't think I think his the well I don't know. I was going to say his days of scoring 25 a
Did
year
it?
are done, and he just did it. So like I can't really say that anymore because he's still doing it. But yeah, it's probably 3 full years because I don't, you don't see him banging 25 in the next two
yeah.
years as 30, 32. 25 is just hard to expect from somebody in general.
I would say it would be in the third year, in the third
Yeah,
season from now.
yeah,
He might pick up 1 or 2 more goals this season, so he'll be like 45ish, maybe say 45. I would say that's at the beginning of the third year from now.
yeah.
So would be my guess. Do you Spurs are kind of they're kind of up and down with their record. I think that's fair to say. Do you guys think you hold on to seventh? Do you think that you can hold off Villa?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. No, that's why I said no. I said that. I didn't know if you caught it or not. I guess you didn't. But I said in talking about Kane, if he wants to go, since we do not have Europe next year, uh, then go put him on a good team. If he wants to stay in the EPL, put him on Chelsea.
I think
Right?
Manchester. It sounds like Manchester United because Manchester United has the money and the need
Yeah,
for a
like
number 9.
yeah, like go for it.
Look,
And I've also been on record of saying at that point, if we sell Kane, we should sell Son.
I,
Just move them both. They're 30. We're rebuilding. The rest of the team is young. Just do it. Just bite the
And
bullet. Suck it
and it
up.
make and it makes
Yeah,
sense with that based on the profile of coach that Levy's looking at. Levy's trying to find another Poch. Is what I've
yeah.
heard. Is that he's not looking to go down the
It's gonna
Jose
suck.
Conte
But
aisle.
but then we're Arsenal 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Like we just let go, cut. No, I don't want to call them dead wood, but like they're good wood. They're green wood right now. Like they're still living trees right now. It's not even dead wood. Like just cut it and go and just, like make the decision. Harry and Son are gone. We're resetting. They call it various different things throughout the sports and American sports, but it's a different thing in baseball than it is in basketball than it is in football. But basically, you're trading all your good players away to get draft capital and ways to get better in the future, and you're just banking on, we're gonna suck for 2 years, but at the end of those 2 years, we're gonna be younger, better, and ready to go after it.
yeah. I mean, what I would
Yeah.
say you have it going in your favor that Arsenal didn't have going in their favor 5 years ago was that you have a Harry Kane, you have a Heung-min Son, like you have those assets that are
Yeah.
valuable.
We,
You
we,
could sell
we probably
you could sell Curtis Romero like for a lot of money. I wouldn't sell Romero, but you could. Like these are players that have value. If you look at Arsenal's squad 5 years ago, we didn't have the value in our squad like you guys do.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we have probably 4 or 5 players on the roster that we could net spend zero and spend $350 million.
yeah, well,
Like between Hoiberg, Skip, Bentancur, Romero, Son, and Kane. That's about $350 million
I don't think you
that
sell
we could
Skip.
net. Oh, I'm just saying.
I'm
Like
with you. Or
I'm talking about young
you have
talent that is very good and carries value.
you have assets to
Between
sell.
those
Yes.
4 or 5, we're good. We can flip the roster if we need to.
let's continue this discussion in a couple weeks because we're gonna have to look at like what all of our clubs need to do in the summer. But just as a closing remark on Aston Villa for you, Sean, Aston Villa's 2 remaining games are Liverpool away and Brighton. Liverpool are currently just nuking the league as we speak. So,
they've had one less point since the World Cup break than Arsenal. So you know what? Since I've been the asking for all of the pain, James, I think it's your turn to talk about some pain. Let's see what happened in this Arsenal Brighton game because I did not get to watch it.
So I
expunge.
I don't know, man. It's hard to really say. Brighton probably were a little bit more up for it for some reason than Arsenal were. They get their goal. I forgot how they got their first goal. I was pretty disgusted when I saw it. But the two final goals come late. Arsenal are pushing for goals and they just kind of get caught in kind of awkward situations. Bad pass out leads to a goal. Yeah. And then so it's just like little things
Sarri gets kicked off the team and then gives up the second goal.
Oh, okay. I remember how they scored their first goal. Because there's all this talk about whether or not there was a foul on Kivior in the box, like that he got his foot stepped on, his ankle stepped on. Yeah, and that VAR should have intervened and disallowed the goal. When I saw Arsenal fans tweeting this garbage, I was like, you guys are down real bad. Because if we're going to start calling people's feet getting stepped on in the penalty box, like in leading up to a goal as a foul, then we can't play football. Like people's feet get stepped on. You get tangled up with people. Like it wasn't an intentional foot stomp. His toe like scrapes Kivior's ankle. Like that's not a foul. It's not a foul. You guys need to stop. I don't know. Like Brighton seemed to want it more. They kind of exposed our right side a little bit, which is a little bit strange. Just because Ben White has been very stalwart for us throughout the season, but it's really just I think. It's you go down one, you're pushing to find the winner, and then you give up the second one, and at that point you just know like that it's over, and it's just deflating, and it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I will be honest, like, and especially with a lot of the other news that's coming out about Arsenal in terms of transfers and things like that are coming up, like it seems like it's an end of like so Jacques is probably leaving. Tierney's probably leaving. There's talk that Emile Smith-Rowe might be gone. So like there's a lot of like fan favorites, people who I really like, who might be gone here in a couple months, and that's just sad. I really, really wanted them to be able to lift the Premier League title and kind of like ride out in the sunset together. I think Arsenal selling Emile Smith-Rowe would be absolute lunacy. I will go on record here, but there's been a lot of reports that this is a thing that might be happening. And I will be exceptionally upset if that does happen. But
yeah. Because did they just give him the 10 and all this other stuff? I mean,
it was like 2 years ago. It was like 2 years ago. But
wow.
Yeah.
And they found Odegaard, and then that's why I didn't understand the Vieira purchase from this summer.
I still don't understand why Fabio gets more playing time than Emile. But besides
injury, I think he was hurt.
Yeah, it was injury. Injury. So it's disappointing for Arsenal. So
does Brighton keep this going for Thursday for our midweek game?
Yeah, that was going to be my quick note. Is that midweek Thursday we got Newcastle and Brighton. I hope not, because I would prefer Newcastle finish in the top four. My big hope here is that Manchester United fall apart, Liverpool sneak above Manchester United. I don't not particularly jazzed about the idea of either one of them being in the top four, but I would much rather have Liverpool in the top four than I would Manchester United. And it would be really sweet to see Manchester United crumble as well. So if Arsenal's crumbling, I want Manchester United to crumble as well. So
it's always so refreshing to just be reminded how much Arsenal and Manchester United don't like each other.
Yeah, I cannot.
It's not a geographical rivalry; it is a historical rivalry.
Yeah, my haters list goes Chelsea, Manchester United. It's like 1A, 1B. Like that's my hater. Not even Tottenham. Well, because I'm not from North London, so like that's for me. I'm not from London, so like I don't. That's not a thing for me. I don't have to go to work every day and see your smug face, Sean. but the people in North London do. The equivalent of us
true.
in North London, but
Yes, that's true. That's true.
that's all we got for you guys for the review episode. Definitely check back in tomorrow. We will have a news episode. We'll be talking Champions League. We'll be talking Conference League. And kind of interesting thing that's kind of come out in the Premier League recently is that the PGMOL has sent Howard Webb on a publicity tour talking about VAR, and they've been starting to broadcast some of the VAR conversations and explaining it to the people. So this has gotten kind of interesting. This is we're not that bad, we promise. It's pretty interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And so definitely want to check back in tomorrow for the news. And then on Friday, we will have a preview episode for Match Week 36 coming up. But if you are still listening and you have not yet, hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell, 5-star review on Apple Podcast or any of the platforms that allow it. Drop a comment on YouTube and we will talk about them in next week's episodes. And join our Discord. It's in the description below. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. That guy is at KSBradG. Down below, that's at Whiteheart_Sean, and that's Sean spelled the normal way. And then I'm at James Tiffany. Collectively, you can reach us at redcard_radio. And until then, we look forward to seeing you guys and presenting something for you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.